Good morning to whoever may be there. Good morning, or evening, or afternoon, wherever you are. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, all that kind of stuff. It's connecting. Give it a moment. Good morning.
Hi.
Hi, I'll be on in just a second here. There's a couple other people online here. We're waiting for this whole thing to connect.
Okay. James is here. I don't know if you can see him. No picture yet.
I don't see names. I just see participants. How are you seeing that? I wonder why you get to. This is my program. I'm paying for it. Why do you get all the information?
I don't know. I get these little
Well,
squares.
you have to be here all the time, every time, because otherwise I don't know what's going on.
Private secretary here. Yeah, I
Like
get these little boxes
yeah,
across the top of the screen, and they have names in them or
yeah, no,
pictures.
if I click on it, so James, if you can hear me, your microphone and your camera are not on. You can leave it that way if you like, if you're more comfortable. I'm gonna go on camera right now. So yeah, I have a little window open now. So all right.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi,
Uh,
James.
how you doing? Good morning to the both of you.
Thank you.
Hello.
We got a couple other people that should be showing up, so I'm going to drag a little bit here just to get going, give them a moment to kind of click on. We have people in different time zones, of course. Excuse me. Oh my God. To present on peace was very stressful. Like I had to think of all these things. I'm like, what am I, how am I going to present this? I'm like, well, this is really stressful. And that's part of the lesson too, is that regardless of how much we talk about this, I think this should definitely be a part two. So it's a big topic and it's a very important topic. And as usual, my purpose for doing these things is to help people understand what can be done better, what can be done poorly, and how to improve that. But mostly because most people think they're doing things wrong, like meditation, and they realize when I teach them that they're not doing anything wrong, that that they're doing the wrong things. And so peace is definitely falling into that kind of category. So again, I'm kind of dragging a little bit to see if people will connect on. I'm waiting on a couple other people. Let me see. Something here that says more. What is that about? Just the chat window. Okay. Anyway, so let's get started as we always do. So I did make some notes because there are a couple topics I don't want to forget. And they're not always in order, but we want to be able to cover all these topics. So first, let me greet you the proper way with this is Om Shanti, which is the kind of name of this. Again, I'm getting kind of all kinds of alerts and alarms. What's going on here? Oh, okay. So James, I see your happy face there. Thank you. So, Om Shanti, when in India and in Asia, in America, they often will say Namaste to greet people, right? That's like the yoga greeting. And in India, it's actually Namaskar, which is a little bit slight variation. And also Om Shanti. Shanti means peace. Om is kind of the primordial sound of the universe and creation. So it's a way of wishing someone peace and acknowledging peace. So kind of like Namaste, Namaskar, and Om Shanti is kind of like the peace within me recognizes the peace within you. The spirit in me recognizes the spirit in you.
It takes the ego out of it.
Wonderful greeting. And we all struggle with this. I mean, again, we understand the concept and we all want it, but keep in mind that peace is neither happiness nor sorrow. If you want peace, it's neutral in between. Happiness is not peace. That's its own form of agitation. It's a good one, it's a positive one, but still it's not a peaceful, content state. You're excited. Now, if you had to choose between feeling peace or happiness, which would you prefer?
Peace.
Rather than
Really.
happiness?
Mm-hmm.
Really? So you can find you feel peaceful. You feel
I
peaceful.
find I find contentment.
Yeah. And that's the synonym for peace, contentment.
And it doesn't always mean everything's perfect and everything's going great. It isn't, but
and we're going to go into that. And so it is said in the East that, for example, saints, Buddha's avatars, God himself, that one of the main features within the God power is that he is self-content, that he is completely content with everything himself and all the time. And that is kind of the attainment there. So let me look through my notes real quick so I don't get lost on this, which I don't usually do. I don't usually, I'm just kind of winging it. So peace is not happy nor sad. Now, another kind of thought that I had as I contemplated this was that I'm fairly well known as an intense person. I think that's the most common description for me is that people would say, oh, Krishna, yeah, he's kind of intense. And that kind of implies a lack of peace. And yet people don't feel a lack of peace from me. They feel that I'm intense, and passionate for sure, but I don't project or seem to project. I don't get commented on that I'm not at peace. And here's the way that works. And I think this is very valuable to understand is that I'm at peace with my lack of peace. I like being passionate. I like being excited. I like having energy. And that gives me peace. Being able to be who I am the way I want to be, the way I choose to be, and the way that I naturally am gives me a sense of peace that isn't calm, because I don't want calm. I don't enjoy calm. I like activity. I like motion. I like thought. I don't want my mind to be shut down. I don't meditate to shut and quiet my mind. I meditate on things that are beautiful and divine, that are exciting and passionate, not on things that are sometimes calm and peaceful. And yet, I surround myself, excuse me, in an environment that induces peace. I've lived alone most of my life. I like to live in the country rather than the city. I'm not saying yay or nay to either one of them. I'm simply saying for me personally. And again, as you all are familiar, that I teach by my example. I'm not saying be like me. I'm hopefully revealing the system and the way to design and engineer your own methods and practices by using mine as an example of how I arrived at them. Not what I'm doing, but how I arrived at them. And so again, for me, as a rather spiritually sensitive person, I joke often about going to the grocery store and dealing with people and not liking people and all that kind of stuff. We all have a lot of fun with that. And it is kind of fun. I say to keep the body count low by going to the grocery store in the morning. And it's true. And this is largely due because it is easier for me to feel contempt for the world than it is to feel what I truly feel, which is empathy and sympathy. It's easier to process. The truth is, I've committed my life to serving others, and this isn't. And yet, I talk about how I don't like human people or humanity, and partly humorous and partly accurate. And this is because the truth is, as I get to know people, I'm very passionate and very empathic and very sensitive to the feelings that of loss and defects and things that they have. And that's why I got into the career that I'm in. So sensitive to it that the collective consciousness around me, I'm sensitive to, not in a way that I'm empathic where I take it on. I can block all that out. It just takes some effort. And it's because seeing the pain that people are in, again, is what I'm talking about. It gets me very emotional. I mean, it just pains me a lot. And it's not just that they're in pain. It's that I can see right away they don't have to be. And that's what caused me pain. That's why I have rescuer syndrome where I'm trying to help people. That's why I do what I do. Because the stress in my life brings me peace, knowing that I'm doing something about it, internally and externally. And we're going to talk about one of the main topics of having peace is the interplay of inner and outer. Oh, wait, I have another note here I want to get to first. It says 6 years the Buddha. Little note to remind me. The Buddha, when he left the palace and saw the suffering in the world and made a commitment to find a solution for that, spent 6 years in the forest with sadhus, meditating, fasting, doing sadhana that is intense, being able to reach transcendental states of consciousness and fast for hours and days at a time. My favorite image of the Buddha isn't the one where he's fat and jolly. My favorite one is when he's an ascetic. his time in the forest where he is wasted away. He is so withered you can see his bones through his skin. He was fasting. And after all this commitment, after all this capacity and ability, he surpassed all of his teachers. And his conclusion was, this is not enough. Because when I come out of samadhi, I'm back in the world and I'm still not at peace. It's not permanent. It's temporary, like anything in the world. And so I want a permanent state of non-suffering. This is what drove him to leave the forest of the sadhus and go on his own, and then sit beneath the Bodhi tree and then unfold with the things that we know about. So in my own micro version of this, I too have spent my life since youth sampling, experimenting, practicing diligently, putting effort into profound practices that are established and true. And those are my same conclusions. My micro version is this time and time again, from my Western mysticism to the East, is just that I always found that it was limited. It could not give me permanent. And I innately, all of us innately, are seeking a permanent condition of peace and comfort and maybe even bliss. Now, it's interesting that you said, when I asked you what you would choose, happiness or peace, and you said peace. Most people, I think, would choose happiness or bliss. Now, in the world, I'm saying that there's a dichotomy there, that happiness and bliss is not the same as peace. It has intensity to it. And for me, also, yeah, I'm a very passionate person. Again, I find my peace in non-peace. I find my peace in being able to be active in my life and other people's lives and trying to resolve and find solutions to things. That's where I find my solace. I become less peaceful if I am not active in these kind of missions and purposes, which is another category we're going to end up wrapping up with, is finding your peace and purpose. So first, let's go into the two divisions, inner peace and outer peace. So let me double check here. So we got, I don't know where everybody's at. Everybody's telling me they're going to be, oh, we got, oh, no, there's three. Okay, so if we have outer peace, live in a peaceful environment, space, our life is peaceful, our lifestyle, our
Chloe's
life.
here.
Sorry, Chloe's here.
Yes.
Morning, Chloe.
Hi, guys.
So if we have outer peace by our environment, our space, our lifestyle, then can that cause inner peace? Or could inner peace, being peace and content with things within, cause an outer peace? And I say, within the world, it's got to be both. We can't rely simply on one, because if you are ultimately, as an enlightened person, enlightened masters, they're in peace because they're in peace within. They accept objective reality. And so my formula, again, I teach not do as I do, nor necessarily do as I say. I'm teaching strategy on how I design and engineer methods that work for me. So again, I'm not saying do this for you. You got to find your own way. I'm giving you the instruction on how to design your own methods and practices, the system which it's done. And so for me, with introversion, introspection, and awareness and paying attention. See, that guy's agitated. I don't know if you can hear, like Chacho's come messing with the door. Now he's sitting on a cushion. That's cool. So now he's at peace temporarily. And so again, I'm using both. I'm not relying on inner peace to satisfy me. Neither am I relying on outer peace to satisfy me. I'm combining the two together to create the best peaceful existence I can. First, let's talk about the outer peace. And this is fundamental, critical things that, as a private counselor, dealing with people with stress and anxiety and agitation and all kinds of disorders, I see this again and again and again, that their outer life is not peaceful at all. The environment they live in is chaotic. family members, friends, lifestyle, the environment that they live within, especially their bedrooms. And one of the first things I do to go to work with people to try to find some type of experience to have some peace is to clean up their environment. Your exterior environment and personal space is a reflection of what you are on the inside. That's a fact. And they both rub off on each other. If you live in a chaotic environment, it's going to affect you on the inside. What you have on the inside is going to affect you on the outside. And again, I've learned the reciprocating relationship between these two. I'm not fastidious, anal retentive, clean freak at all. And yet I live in a fairly, I would say sterile, not at all, casual environment, but it's very organized. And this is because when it's organized, I feel more at peace. Many people will say they don't care, especially young people. When my son was in somewhat in his teens, hold on, I'm getting a message there.
Yeah. Order heaven's first law.
What there? Okay.
It was me. I posted order is heaven's first law.
Yeah, there you go. I like that. So again, I've seen a consistency is that the people that I meet and work with that are dealing with a lot of stress and anxiety, when I learn about their environment, it happens to be coincidentally that it's somewhat chaotic. And again, the youth, the current generation, my son is now 31 as of a week ago. And when he was in his late teens, his room was a disaster. And I don't mean like metaphorically. I'm saying it was like, oh, you walk in and be like, oh my, like there's a 1 inch of floor space. And then I learned because I'm working with so many youthful people and his friends, I'm learning that they're all like that. That's how they are. Okay. Their personal space like that. Their parents' space wasn't like that, but their personal space is. And they seem oblivious to it. And this is kind of the new normal that establishes is this lack of order, James, as you're pointing out the order as God's law. Lack of order eventually doubles back and causes an unrest. And so one of the first quickest remedies that I can give to people for anxiety is to organize your space. Clean up your floor, take out your trash, clean your bedding, keep your environment relatively clean. Again, not anal retentive, not fastidious, not OCD kind of stuff. That's not healthy. But organize, as James just said, order, not neurotic. Order. And so, again, as my own example, what I've learned is that I want my house and my living space organized without things cluttering all over the place. But again, not so much so that it look sterile. That bothers me. We have to find our way in our environment that's going to fit for us. It varies. Whatever we end up doing, we end up being convinced that this is the way. Maybe even for everyone. Because that's our projection. And most of the time, we are creating environments and living spaces and lifestyles that are a process through repetition and association, the creation of behaviors. And that by the time we establish them, they're very established and they've taken root within our subconscious mind, and they become solid. We can remember how they got there. They develop over time. And when we realize that we have some bad habits, we've had them a long time. They're hard to undo because by the time we realize we've had them a long time. And so if you're not at peace and you're not having a peaceful existence, one of the first things you need to do is analyze your exterior environment and take into account that, okay, maybe I think this is the way I want it, but if it's not working, maybe it's not. Maybe this is what you've been programmed by your exterior environment of people and culture and within to come to these conclusions, but apparently it's not working. And that's one of my main things too, is whatever I develop, if I'm not getting results, well, it's not working. It's time to change it. it seemed to make sense to me, but it's not working. So it varies again from person to person. Order, organization, and also, of course, what we decorate with around our living space. I make my jokes about Pier 1 Imports, which, by the way, somebody told me that they went out of business, and I was laughing my ass off. I'm kind of like, and I think that's kind of cold, but it's just the corporate generic mentality of, anyway, I'm not going to go there. I won't be very, it's not very peaceful. It's not a very peaceful diatribe. That we surround ourselves with items, objects, and paraphernalia that is a reflection of what we like and what we don't like, what we like and what we're into. And again, I advocate creating an environment that's different for every space. In my kitchen, I have kitchen things. In my bathroom, I have bathroom things. In my bedroom, I have sleeping things and bedroom things. In my living space where I'm at right now, I have spiritual things. My sadhana room, my meditation room, it's all spiritual stuff, and nothing even goes in there that's not that. I don't want anything else in there like that. I want a complete environment that's immersive. I don't want my mind to be confused as to what the space is for. So I think this is a kind of a quick go-to remedy, is to create not just an overall space, but each space customized to its own purpose. Helps us feel more at peace. Again, this is not going to automatically cause inner peace when we create an outer peace. So that's our immediate space. Now we get the world around us. As I joked in the introduction email to invite here about, you can't, if you're on the 405 freeway or the Long Island Expressway, it ain't gonna happen. You're not gonna get any peace. It's not gonna, so don't try, because when you try, you're only making it worse. Accept. And so again, as I joke often about going to the grocery store and how I interact with the world and all that, kind of find my way, my system of minimizing my exposure to the things that I don't like. It takes a little bit more work and effort. I went yesterday to run an errand at Home Depot and to a quick stop at the store. And it was in the afternoon because I had no other choice. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what the body count's going to be on this trip. This is going to be, and I'm preparing I'm having an attitude. I'm having a good attitude. I'm making jokes about it because I know if I don't go into it with humor, I'm going to be angry, right? Preparation is key. And again, you find your own system. For me personally, I go to the grocery store and I do my shopping things. Usually I'm there when they open on a Sunday, when everyone else is sleeping. It takes a little bit more work and effort. And there are times I'm like, like I went to the store yesterday because I had no time. I'm busy this weekend. I got clients and students all weekend. And so I can't go on a Sunday morning. And it takes a little bit more work and effort. Getting up a little bit earlier, skipping my morning meditation maybe, and have my coffee to get there and all these kind of things. But that's my choice. And when I see that as my choice, that I have a system that helps me have a more peaceful experience on the road and interacting with the world around me, it works. So I'm basically reducing my exposure to stressful things. Check something.
Bijal.
Hi, Bijal. And so, again, what we're addressing here is, again, I can only do this in general terms for us all the time here, but the significance of establishing a personal, customized system of the external environment, our personal space, and with the world around us, which you have no control over. And so that addresses and goes right to the point of the core of the lack of peace that many have, is that the lack of peace comes from a feeling of a lack of control. The things that we cannot control give us a sense of agitation. You could say fear, because we can't predict the outcome. We are subjected to a world around us that we cannot control. Case in point, tech support. Oh my God. These people have not made life any easier one tiny bit. They made it a freaking mess. And yet we're stuck with it. We don't have a choice. We don't have any alternatives.
We're at their mercy.
That's right. And they are lame, they're ineffective, and I'm not going to go there because there's no peace there. It is a mess. And again, it's about preparation. This is a classic example of the external world not providing any peace. When you need it, again, where else am I going to get my food? I got to go to the grocery store. So I got to go. So how I'm going to go and when I'm going to go, that I can have some control over. If I'm willing to do the effort and make the sacrifice to the other things, it's easier for me to sacrifice some of my private personal morning time than it is to sacrifice my afternoon time and peacefulness by dealing with the entire world when they're out there. So again, it's about customizing. So a better example then would be tech support. If I do have to deal with a tech support, which we all do eventually, I mean, I really got to prepare days in advance. I got to make sure I got the time for that nonsense. I got to make, and no matter how much I prepare, I can't. No matter what is going to happen, they're going to make me mad. I'm a human being. That's no defect on me. That's your fault. That's not my fault. I'm not a bad person. I'm not an unpeaceful person. You are a lame. It's maddening. And so there's nothing wrong with me. And again, I can minimize and reduce this, but I cannot have a peaceful experience with it. So adjust my perspective, my expectation. As the Buddha said in the First Noble Truth, life is suffering. Second Noble Truth, the cause of suffering is desiring. We can exchange that word desiring with expectations. What you expect. If you go into any experience with no expectations, well, then you can't be disappointed, can you? And yet your mind automatically conjures and manufactures expectations. You can't help it. It doesn't do it with your permission. It does it all on its own. Creates a manufactured expectation, good or bad. The trick in this is to not attach to the expectation. I cannot stop my mind from creating expectations. I automatically assume that when I go to the store in the afternoon, like I did yesterday, that I'm going to have a potentially uncomfortable experience. Okay. You're laughing because you can see like I'm trying to be like politically sensitive. I'm trying not to use so many 4-letter words. And see, I'm having fun with that. It gives me some peace, you know? And so
We've had this conversation too many times,
well,
and I know what you're
it makes
thinking.
you laugh every time because you can all identify with it. I'll identify with it, you know? Find the common ground. You know, that's what I do. And
it's just so funny because I don't mind it. I'll have conversations with people and I'm
well,
just fine with it.
that's right. There are people that will say, yeah, about Krishna, because you're having a negative expectation, you're going to cause it. And I'm like, I'm not magical, man. I hate when people say that to me. I'm not, if I could will what's going to happen, then I wouldn't cause it that way. That's bullshit. That's what I'm gonna tell you. That's bullshit. I am not magically being able to change the world because I'm having an expectation. Not going to happen. It's internal, not external. And
You would
so,
will an empty store.
and because I am mentally and emotionally healthy, which very few people are in this world nowadays, because I am, or at least I think I am, which is a surefire sign, which is a sure sign you're not. Because I am emotionally stable and healthy, I can accept that I'm likely going to have a negative experience. I'm adjusting, I'm expecting it, I'm anticipating, we're prepared mentally. I have the right expectation, and because I can adapt and change very well. This is one of my skill sets. If it doesn't become unpleasant, then I'm happy. I can adjust. I'm not causing it to be bad at all. I can simply eat and be like, wow. And honestly, my entire trip was very smooth. I had very few things get in my way. The only thing that really got in my way was the one thing I went to this, I had to go to the store to get two things because I went all the way to the store before and forgot two things. I had to go all the way back. And one of the things I wanted wasn't on the friggin' shelf. The entire aisle was full of that stuff, but the one that I wanted was the only one not there. It's a plot. It's a conspiracy. And
I wonder if your expectations are manifesting something.
right. See, and this is what people are saying. Like and I said, I'm not magical. If I could do that, then the whole world would be beautiful. So I don't have that ability, neither do you. So get that out of your head. This is not some kind of new age. This is not the secret. That's a load of crap. All right. That's fundamental elementary garbage. And so it's about adjusting your inner perceptions and perspectives and expectations. And so again, I expect and suspect with historical evidence that probably the trip is going to be somewhat uncomfortable. That's historical evidence that I'm supporting with, okay? But can I happily and easily adjust to the fact that maybe it's not? And as I went over there in the afternoon and got mostly green lights, which I often joke around about my green light days and red light days, mostly green lights. And my trip into Home Depot was really quick and smooth and easy. And I'm acknowledging this. I'm paying attention. I'm not just taking it for granted. I'm acknowledging and paying it back and saying, this is great. And so again, I can adjust as I have less of a stressful experience. I'm acknowledging it. I'm acknowledging it within that the outside environment is much more pleasant than I thought. And so there's some advantage for me having a very negative expectation because I can adjust to the fact that it's not. So I'm not causing anything. I could go in there and like rant and rave about stuff. I mean, when I didn't have my brand of pretzels that I want, pretzels are very important to me. Okay. I want my pretzels. I need my goddamn pretzels.
I knew it had to be something important.
That's right. It was very important. That's sacred. I need my pretzels, man.
Sacred pretzels.
And so again, it's about adjustment. Now, I don't want to keep going all the. Yes, I can do a lot of plenty of stand-up, can I? There's definitely an alternative career for stand-up comedy type of stuff. And so we adjust. I like the saying. Let me see how it goes again. You guys will know it. It's anticipate the worst and hope for the best. Right? Is that how it goes? I love that. I anticipate the worst, but I definitely hope for the best. And again, I can adjust. I can adjust to the bad because I expect it already, and I can adjust to the good because when it's not happening, suddenly I'm even happier, right? You go to a restaurant or a movie or something, and you expect it to be crappy, and then it ends up being good. You're like, wow, it's extra good because I thought it was going to be bad. We're getting more pleasure out of it because our expectations were very low. So if you can do it in a healthy way, have very low expectations of things, well, if you can adjust, well, then you can't be too disappointed. And again, the Buddha's second noble truth there, that the cause of suffering is desiring, which again, I'm using the synonym for expectations. Desiring is expectations. I want things to be a certain way. That's what desiring is. Our lack of peace is coming from our inability to feel that we have control over ourselves or our lives. And then we compound this by blaming ourselves. Look at how messed up I am. Look what a bad person I am because I can't be at peace with this. Then you got a whole bunch of people out there that are going to shame you for not being able to find peace in it with their inadequacies. You're not a good tolerant person because you're not dealing with me being a dickhead to you. Excuse me. Me being an asshole to you. And I'm thinking, you know what? The fact that I'm not murdering you on the floor, then I am tolerating you. Am I getting a little too dark?
Not dark. A little weird, maybe, but not dark.
All right. I knew a little weird.
Mm.
So
I like the honesty.
thank you. Well, you'll get plenty of that. And again, and as you guys all know me and well enough to know that, yes, I have a good sense of humor. That's one of my ways of maintaining peace is I have humor about it. I have gallows humor, my humor about it. I would never actually cause harm or live by him said, do no harm. And yet, again, what my coping mechanism is definitely sarcasm and gallows humor. And unfortunately, when I'm out there in the world, I got to keep that private and silent. And it's hard because when you think of something sarcastic that's really funny, I'm like, I feel like it's a sin not to say it. Like somebody needs to hear it. If somebody's in front of me, I don't want to hurt anybody, but at the same time, I'm thinking like, if you have something clever and sarcastic to say, then definitely share it because I need a laugh, And even if it's at my expense, I'm cool with that. If it's funny, I don't care. So again, we're giving some examples on the coping mechanisms, preparation, expectation, perspective. Now we're going to shift and transition into the inner piece. We've talked about containing, influencing, having some involvement with our external order and organization of peace. and how to do that, the very basic fundamentals of it. And now the inner part. Indeed, sadhana, spiritual practice, that's a key element. Do I exist in a constant state of peace because I do my sadhana regularly? No. When I leave my sadhana room, there's my cat wanting some food, bothering me, or wanting some love, and we're not giving me love, and I want some,
Courtney's
And
here.
hi, Courtney. And and so when I leave my sadhana room or any of those kind of practices, well, then I'm vulnerable to the world around me. This is, again, perspective. I'm putting it in the bank. When I spend time in my sadhana, I'm not expecting it. There's that key word, right? I'm not expecting it to carry on. I know that when I walk out of my sadhana room, my meditation room, that the world's going to be waiting for me. I expect that, and that's okay. We have an understanding. And so I'm putting some stuff in the bank, in my savings account, my peace savings account. I'm spending time in a peaceful environment as much as I can when I can. So I have some reserves to tap into. So one of the common misunderstandings in sadhana for peace is just that, is that people have this expectation that I should be experiencing peace during my sadhana, and it should be carrying over when I'm not doing it. In the beginning, as I often say in the beginning, you do your sadhana, and the end sadhana is all you do. In the beginning, when you're doing your sadhana, it's not very peaceful. You got to find the time, the discipline, the effort. You got to figure it out. You got to know how to do it. You got to take training and learn and get experience. That's not very peaceful. And again, as I'm preparing for this talk today, I was very stressful. I'm trying to think all these things to want to make sure cover all the right points to please everybody. And so the practices, the efforts, the exercises, and methods to use to induce peaceful states require some stressful effort and discipline. But this is true with all things, isn't it? Again, perspective, having the right understanding of it. Work is stressful. Earning a living is stressful, naturally. And yet we got to do it. If we didn't have to, we wouldn't do it. And so it's stressful, but we do it because the results of it bring us some freedom. And there's where lies our peace. The most peaceful part of my trip down south to visit my son for 5 days was honestly the first part when I first got to the campsite and there was nobody there. Like the entire place was empty. There's maybe 2 or 3 people somewhere off in the regions, I don't know. And I just sat at my camp. I had nothing to do, and I just sat in a chair and listened to music and had a beer. That's it. Had a fire. The other part was when I drove home. The last part of my journey home, when I was just maybe 30, 40 minutes away from my home. Where I live is so beautiful, so peaceful, so bucolic that I was just like surrounded in beauty, and there was nobody on the road. It was peaceful, it was calm. I was like, this is amazing. Grab the moments we can, pay attention to them and honor them. That's critical. Don't take them for granted. Be aware. That's a central theme to all of our talks, is to acknowledge internally and externally when things are good. Count your blessings. And don't deny yourself the curses. Allow yourself to have those too. So our inner peace exercise and methods. In the beginning, same with getting fit. In the beginning, working out all those kind of things and dieting properly is a struggle. It's stressful. And you don't see results from it for quite a while. It's over time. I'm very healthy. I never get sick. I mean, literally almost 20 years now. I haven't even had a cold. I'm pretty fit for, not just for a guy my age. I'm very fit and I feel strong and healthy. It wasn't always that way. It's because of repetition, because of consistency. Same with meditation and peaceful practices. Consistency. In the beginning, you do your sadhana, and it can be stressful. And in the end, it'll be all you do. You don't have to try anymore. It's become more natural. Sometimes I do. So one thing is, for the inner peace, is to establish proper practices, which is what we get together here for. I'm telling you the precise methods and strategies that you can choose and arrange to work for you. The authentic ones, not something created by some stupid human, but one that has been propagated and taught by the masters and sages for time immemorial. And of course, our spiritual or peaceful practices are not confined simply to going to a meditation room or dedicating time to, which again can be very stressful. This last week or so, I haven't been able to experience much peace in my sadhana room, my morning meditations, because I get so many things waiting for me. I got clients I'm really worried about, people that are at risk, and I'm trying to help them. They're on my mind. And so again, I accept that. When I'm in there, I'm like, you know what? It's better than nothing. At least I'm having my time. And this little bit of time of associating, satsang, associating with my spiritual practices is going to help me give that to them. And so, again, those expectations. The ongoing, the way we do things, the living space, how we work, how we organize things, how we address things. Again, as I go to the store in the morning instead of the afternoon, all the details. And again, the borderline is you've got to be very careful not to get neurotic. I can't tell you how many clients and students I have come to me over the years that the reason they're neurotic is because they're trying to be at peace. It's paradoxical. The harder they try to be at peace, the more stressed out they are. It is something we have to let flow. As I say, as a sleep specialist, I work with a lot of people with sleep disorders. And one of the first things I tell them, which rearranges the way they perceive it right away, is I say, do not go to sleep, allow sleep to occur. That perspective rearranges their entire perspective of it. Allow sleep to occur. You don't go anywhere. You don't want a verb. You're not going anywhere. You don't want to do anything. You're trying to allow something. Change the way you feel about it. Standing with peace. Don't create peace. Don't make peace. Allow it to be. Understand it. Be aware of it. The Buddha examples are always going to be present when we're talking about peace because he's one of our epitomes of it. What enlightenment is, which is a whole other class I've been wanting to do for a while to define exactly what this is and how it works, is the Buddha. And when I say the Buddha, I don't mean the man. The Buddha is a title. Buddhi is your intellect. That's part of your mind. That's intellect. Buddha is transcending that. That's what the word Buddha means. When someone's mind attains enlightenment, samadhi, Buddha, then they perceive life and reality objectively, not subjectively. Subjective is our perception of it. Things are good or bad. Objective is things are the way they are. I don't like hot days. That's my subjective perception. I like mild, comfortable days. That's my subjective reality. That doesn't mean it's universal. Many people like hot days. I see them. They're weird. They're like left-handed and they like Rocky Road ice cream. They freak me out. That's just wrong. That shit's just wrong.
And that's subjective.
Right. That's all subjective. That's right. And so I remind myself about those kind of environments that's not the objective reality is it is what it is. My subjective reality is that I don't like that. The enlightened master, the enlightened personality has transcended this and they perceive everything objectively. It is the way it is. The brief episodes, as described in the Bhakti Shakti Pat chapter of my book, which most of you have read. The brief episodes of having objective reality clarity was complete and total acceptance and peace. I didn't perceive things in any way other than this is the good and the so-called bad. This is the way it's supposed to be. I had complete acceptance of that. The objective reality is just that. It is the way it is, the way it's supposed to be. Otherwise, it wouldn't be that way. We can have glimpses of this. We can have moments of this. but again, they're hard to sustain. So one of the main themes you may be recognizing in this talk is that stop blaming yourself if you're not able to sustain a peaceful state. You're not doing anything wrong. And by accepting that you can't really sustain a perfect peaceful state all the time will give you some peace. We blame ourselves. I must be doing this wrong because I'm not experiencing bliss or spirit or happiness or peace. And sometimes we are doing it wrong. And sometimes we're doing it right, but it takes a long time. And again, perspective, having the right expectations. So we're combining these two things together, adjusting our expectations and doing the inner work by constantly revising your expectations. You got to adapt to the world as it's happening, real time, and by adjusting to, again, the world that's around you in the environment, feeding them both, reciprocating. And again, the primary acceptance is that the world has no peace. You can't get, I always say you can't make a dog meow and a cat bark. It is what it is. What's that other one? You can't get orange juice from a lemon. Is that what the one is? Is that a saying? Something like that.
It is now.
Okay. Something like that. Again, having the right expectations is very important. And so what I'm encouraging is to do both. Now, we also have, of course, all of our particular stressors, our personal defects and shortcomings, and those around us. Now we're getting more into the microcosm. But we dealt with the macrocosm of the environments around us and the world at large. It becomes very personal. We're talking about family members, friends, associates, the guy that's in front of me on the freeway. It feels very personal, like you must hate me. I know you don't know me, but I think you must hate me because look what you're doing to me. And so excuse me. Need to be careful as we begin to improve and enhance our virtues and reduce and adjust our vices. Again, the word flowing comes up when I'm talking about peace. To flow with your, you could say mojo, your inner magic, your innateness, rather than against it. Again, as I began this talk, talking about how I'm very, very well known as an intense person. That's the most common description of me. Well, Krishna, he's intense. Some people mean it as an insult. Oh, he's too intense. He's intense. And many people mean it as a compliment. Oh, hey, he's intense. You know, depends on who you are. I've dealt with this for so long with so many people that certainly when I was younger, I often would take it as harsh criticism, thinking, well, I got to change. I got to become less intense. And as I've often cited occasionally the example of when I was doing a reading at a bookstore for my latest book, the book before in Washington. And we were there for over 2 hours, closing the store. People were just loving it. So it was just a wonderful group. And people came up to buy books and get them signed, have their autographs with me. And one woman comes up and she goes, you really got to slow down. You're so intense. Like, you have so much to say. You're so intense. And I said, I know. She goes, yeah, it's hard to take on. And I said, I know, I apologize. I'm working on it. And the woman came up right behind her that said, I heard what that woman said before me. Don't you ever change. I've come to see you 3 times because you're intense. And that was reassuring because it reminded me that you can't win them all. Can't make them all happy. And again, I'm more at peace, more natural by being intense because that's what I am. And so I want to be able to be everything for all people, sure. But you got to stay within your wheelhouse to flow with your innateness and to find acceptance with this. This again takes some work. First, get to know thyself and then be able to modify and adjust as needed. At 58 at the end of the month, I am fairly content with who I've become. In my 20s and 30s, I was changing a lot. In my 20s, changing a whole lot, and I should. I'm not done. I'm not complete. In my 30s, a little bit less. My 40s, a little bit less. And now I'm not changing a lot. It's not because it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. I can learn new tricks, no problem. It's that there's not a lot of new tricks I want to learn. I've worked hard to craft the mentality and personality that I have. Again, one of my favorite quotes is when Michelangelo was asked, and this is true history, somebody looked at the statue of David and said, "Oh my God, how did you do that?" And he said, real simple, "I chipped away everything that did not look like a man." That's something that I've lived by for much of my life, which, by the way, I'm not a big Michelangelo fan. The guy was a narcissist. But I've crafted the personality that I have and the character that I am, my belief systems, by slowly chipping away the things that did not fit, revealing what is already my innateness, my essence. This is a tried and true method. Rather than invent or create yourself from scratch, begin by chipping away at the things that you don't want. It's a lot easier, it's a lot quicker. And as you do so, you'll be revealing your virtues. And you may find, as I did once in my life, I didn't have any. What I saw when I was 28 and I hit rock bottom with my dope addiction was that I didn't like anything about it. I chipped away when I took a sledgehammer to everything I didn't like. And I was like, oh my God, I have nothing redeeming, nothing, zero. I'm not exaggerating. This is my rock bottom moment. I didn't want to just die. I wanted to have never existed at all. And I rebuilt myself from the ground up. And I had no idea what to be because I didn't like anything about me. Not one thing. And so again, I did not know what to become. So I began to chip away and remove the things I did not want to be. Well, I know I didn't want to be a drug addict. I know I didn't want to be a lying, cheating philanderer, which I continued to do for a long time. The drugs I was wrapping up, but the other stuff that was a little bit slower. To systematically remove the qualities and features and vices that I had that I did not like, that I did not feel were redeeming, that I could not respect. And I had my own barometer of this. My son was brand new. He was 6 months old when I was having this rock bottom moment. He was the catalyst as I looked upon his little baby face. And my thought was, he loves me so much. As a 6 month baby, he just adores me. And he's going to grow up and he's going to love me no matter what I am. This is what kids do. He's going to probably look up to me and love me no matter what I am. And what are you? I asked. And that's when I saw in that moment what a piece of shit I was. I would not want him to know me. By the time he became cognizant, I was becoming a man that I would be proud for him to know. And so is my barometer. Has been throughout most of my life, much of my life since then, is what I'm doing or the way I'm living something that I would be proud or happy to share with my son? Would I be ashamed of it? Would I have to hide it? If I would have to lie about it, maybe I shouldn't be doing it. That was, again, my barometer of honesty. If I have to lie about something, well, then maybe I shouldn't be doing it. We always justify these. Well, I had to lie to that person because they can't accept those things. No, that's rationalizing bullshit. You're lying because you have shame. Anything that you're proud of or you are comfortable with about yourself, you don't lie about. You may be discreet. And again, that's my own little axiom. I practice discretion, not dishonesty. I won't be dishonest with anybody, but I will be discreet. To establish take the time to establish the virtues and know the difference between your virtues and vices. And even though this causes a lack of peace and unrest to see your issues, your problems, your defects, there's peace in that too, because at least I'm doing the work. Beginning. If I was dying again tomorrow, I'm not going to feel like, oh my God, I accomplished everything I wanted, so I'm all good. I'm at peace with the death thing. And yet I will be at peace because I will know that what I didn't accomplish and attain, I was working hard at it. I wasn't being lazy, I wasn't procrastinating, I wasn't phoning it in. I never want to truly feel that I've reached the apex and I have nothing left to change or modify or improve on. Unless I become God realized, that's a whole different thing, I'd be immune to it. I want to know that I'm working hard and diligently at it with good intention. This gives me peace. I rest well at night, every night, not because life is perfect, but because I'm working diligently and honestly and sincerely with passion and heart to make it so, to make it better for me and people around me, if I can. The value of this, again, this goes back to my earlier statement about being at peace with non-peace. I'm more than at peace by not being at peace. I wouldn't be at peace with peace because I feel that contentment for me is a vice. It makes me restful, not restless. I like my rest. My rest is a virtue. It makes me active, take action, do things, make a difference. I am not lethargic. Again, I'm the intense guy. I want to know every day, every night when I go to bed, every morning when I wake up. I want to know throughout the day. Whenever I choose to reflect on, I want to be able to feel comfortable and confident with the idea that, hey, I'm not perfect, but I'm truly sincerely working on it. And part of that includes that when I have my moments of narcissism where I think I am great, to remind myself real quick, no, you're not. Yes, you are good. You just did something really great. That's great. And you also are terrible because of these things. When I'm self-deprecating, I think it's something positive. Yeah, sure, you're all those things. That's true. You're far from perfect. You're not a good guy in many ways, but you're also doing these things. I counterbalance them to, again, find that middle ground, the balance, as the Buddha would talk about, the in-between state, the contentment. Part of the reality of acceptance is that, excuse me, we cannot exist in a state of neutrality. It's not part of the human makeup. We cannot have two thoughts simultaneously. Not possible. You can bounce back and forth real quick, emotions and thoughts, but you cannot have two of them, especially polarized ones, simultaneously. Go ahead and try it. Go ahead and try and have one thought, two thoughts at one time. You will have an embolism. My peace is found in the realization and acceptance that I can't do that. And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with me. That I am happy and at peace with the fact that I can at least bounce back and forth between the two. I'm not married or stuck with one perception or emotion. I can change in a moment. Again, counting your blessings. So partly what I'm advocating here is both of these systems, the inner and the outer, to understand the philosophy of it. One of my books of these 10 or so that I have now on the philosophy of yoga. Again, the title, Philosophy of Yoga. I'm not a yoga teacher. I don't go into a studio. I don't know any of that stuff. I do very little yoga on my own through my life that we know of the studios, the asanas, yoga. And yet I teach the philosophy of yoga because I want people to remember that same with working out or any kind of thing we're doing within our physical life is there's a philosophy behind it. Build a relationship with that. Why are you doing this? And what do you expect to get out of it? And arrange your decisions, your methods, your practices to serve that purpose and end. Back to my notes here, so make sure I stay on with these. Oh. There's one. Waking up. I have a note here that says waking up to remind me to talk about this. When I was in my 20s, I was in construction and I had to be on a job site typically between 6 and 6:30 in the morning. Most jobs started at 6 a.m. I'm 20 something years old. Okay. And I'm on dope a lot of the time. I am on alcohol. I mean, I'm 20 something. I am living a wild life, kind of. I'm doing construction. You can imagine when I'd be on a job site at 6 or 6:30 in Los Angeles, which could be 20 minutes away, could be an hour and a half away. I got to get up early. I'm in the car. Do I have time to meditate? Oh my God, no. It was get up and literally, oh my God, look at the clock and holy shit, grab myself and run out the door. Not a good precedent. I'm setting the pace for my conscience for the day. I was young and immature. I have the capacity to like get up at an hour earlier and have coffee and be at peace. And it was way too early anyway. My point is that as I talk about creating the right external environment in our personal space, this is a critical one. How you wake up and when you wake up. If you can create the right circumstances for this, what a benefit. Again, I'm not teaching you to do as I do or what I do. I'm giving you the system that I've developed so you can learn how to design your own. Sleep is sacred. The sleeping process for me is I have the proper training and all those kind of things, so I sleep very comfortably. When I wake up, I'm not rushed. I work my ass off to get to that point in life, but I'm not rushed to be on a job site at 6 a.m. And if I was at this age of my life, well, then I'd be up at 4. I'd still have time to, because that's sacred. That's my ritual. Creating the right, I talk about and I teach in my sleep disorder programs about sleep ritual, a vital key element to sleep properly. Routines and rituals that we do to prepare for sleep. And I also teach waking rituals, how you wake, when you wake. If you wake up and you right away got to get up and bullet out and do things, well, you're going to be stressed out and it's going to affect you the entire day. You're pushing a button. It's hard to undo. When possible, create a waking routine that is peaceful, restful, not hurried, not rushed. In a sense, ideally, it would be to be able to wake up gradually. I mean, I can't remember the last time I set an alarm clock, and I do have to get up at certain times, but to get up gradually, to wake up on your own, to go to bed early enough to be able to wake up on your own rather than an alarm clock. To have, again, your waking rituals, which would be for me to go to the bathroom, lay back down in bed for a few minutes, orient, wake up a little bit. As I contemplate gently about my day ahead, I allow that to kind of flow too. I think some fun thoughts, maybe some kind of imaginations. I'm easing my way into the wakefulness of consciousness rather than abrupt. A gentle, more smooth operation to enter into the world with, I think is a very valuable method. Again, at 58, well, not yet, just in a few weeks. This is what I get used to. I'll start saying like 60 soon because it's easier. Because otherwise I'll forget because I'm gonna be 58 in a couple weeks.
I'll remind you.
Huh? You'll remind me? I bet you
Remind you.
will. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people will. Yeah, I'm sure you will. The comfort that I have for waking rituals, my morning coffee sitting outside. This is before I turn on a phone. I don't even look at anything. The first thing I do is I get up and I come over to my kitchen, I grab my coffee, and go sit outside. I love my coffee outside, nothing else. Then I go meditate. It used to be meditate right away. Now I have coffee first. Because otherwise, when I'm meditating, I'd be thinking about coffee. So I'd rather be having my coffee thinking about meditation than having meditation thinking about coffee. Then once that is complete, then I have a second cup. Now I have my phone and my tablet, and I look at some emails, I look at some YouTube stuff, some frivolous, easy stuff. Nothing that's high pressure. I like to start my day off if I can with something that's a laugh. This morning I watched something from last night's Bill Maher episode. And I don't watch the whole thing, but I watched it a little, and I was laughing my ass off. It was funny, you know? Dark for sure, because of what he does, but also very funny. That's my preference. I like to start my day, if I can, with some peace, some spirit, and maybe something just lighter fare as I ease into the worldly aspect of it. This takes work. Again, in my 20s, I didn't have that option. I was in survival mode almost all the time. And or on drugs, which was causing more survival mode. certainly wasn't helping. And as we mature and get older, we see the benefit preparing and planning. We're stressing out earlier in our life because we're trying to build security and peace in our later life, because otherwise it's going to get too difficult to establish later. I not only am grateful to have, in spite of some of the challenges and unpredictabilities of my life, which I have many, that I get to wake up in the morning and have that coffee and do that meditation and have my second cup and enjoy the company with my Chow Bang the cat. And again, not just that I have them, but that I earned them. They were magical. I worked my ass off to establish these things. I knew what I wanted, how I wanted it, and why. And I knew how to attain it. I did the work to develop them. So hopefully part of what you're gaining from this is not to do as I do. The Buddha did not say, do as I do. He did not say in his Four Noble Truths, nor in his Eightfold Path, did he say, walk away from your family and go live in the forest and starve yourself and be an ascetic for 6 years and then go walk on foot 300 miles and go sit beneath a Bodhi tree until you become enlightened. He didn't say do it. He didn't say that at all, did he? Not one bit did he say do what I do. He said do as I say. And the Eightfold Path is not about do this and it will cause enlightenment. It was, if you don't do these things, you want to be in a position to experience enlightenment, because all these things are agitating you. This is the craft to develop your own systems. And again, the cornerstone of this is perspective. To be able to see the world objectively, your life and the world. You guys know my history with the death thing. Pretty tumultuous, pretty intense. Throughout it, I had some humor. I had some pretty healthy perspective where I was like, it is what it is. And I also had my moments where I was very angry and very distressed and very sorrowful. Intensely so. But again, the acceptance that these things are beyond me. The acceptance and understanding that these things that are beyond me are God's will. This is the plan that's been arranged for me in particular. Why? It doesn't really matter, does it? Again, when I woke in the hospital and they're trying to tell me like what happened to me, well, you were hit by a car, and I'm like, okay, there's 3 minutes of my life I'll never get back. I need to get out of it. Not how I got here. I know what to do to get out of it. Nobody was telling me that. So when we can see our lives and ourselves through eternal lenses, not temporal. You are divine, eternal souls, not just stupid human. We're also stupid human, but we're eternal divine souls. Who you are as an identity is the here and now, this lifetime. You've had many of them. You will have many of them if you don't do this, get it fixed. To maintain a steady perspective in the background that you are an eternal divine soul, that all things come and go. When you have passive regressions, as I have had, well, it's kind of hard to not think, I've been through worse. We've all used that as a coping mechanism when things get rough. I've been through worse, so I'll probably make it through this too. What we don't think is like, well, it could be worse. That's also helpful. Remind yourselves it could be worse. Again, that's the ultimate universal foundation, cornerstone of the perspective attitude towards attaining peace, is to accept that this too shall pass. Why? How? Because it always has. Say new. I'm not experiencing anything new. Very few of us are ever experiencing anything that somebody else hasn't already experienced, and we haven't experienced already in another lifetime. This too shall pass. The good stuff will pass too. Bad times will come. And again, to develop this more eternal perspective that the here and now is just that, just the here and now. As grand and important as that is, it's just the here and now. It's pretty trivial. To see our lives and our existences as something that is ongoing, again, gives you a level of endurance and stamina that maybe very few other things can and do. Any questions or anything to share, anybody? No? Okay. The layers of this for future talk, if we did a part 2, which again, I think is very important, is what I'd like to get into is the individual circumstances. Again, as a counselor, what I deal with, I don't want to say deal, that sounds like very negative. What I am involved with are people in crisis. Again, there comes the emotions, because as much as I joke all the time about not liking people, which I'm not joking, I really don't like people. I don't like humanity either, can't stand it. And yet the emotions come because I really am in so much pain seeing them suffer. And it's not just that they're suffering, it's because I see they don't need to be. That's the hard part. They just don't need to be. There's easier ways. And the individuality, the specifics of our life experiences. This is what is maddening. When we're surrounded by and connected to dysfunction and disorders and people that are, again, just not doing anything correct, but now they're close to us. And then we have our own possible collections of disorders and defects. How do we come to terms with this and make peace with this? This is largely why, as a counselor, I rarely, if ever, almost never did group sessions. I deal with people as individuals. Group doesn't work. As for support, it can. To realize that I'm not alone in this. Other people are suffering from the same thing. For me personally, that has done very little. I never need benefit much from that. Many people, that may be all they may seem to need. I found we all want and need a customized personal strategy and method to address our issues and our relationships with people and things around us. And again, what I'm trying to offer is not a universal way of thought or perceiving things, even though they exist. Again, objective reality. You've got to learn to customize, individualize, because even if your problems and situations are similar to many other people's, they don't feel like it to you. To you, they feel like they are unique and completely exceptional. I guess in a summarizing way, of course, acceptance is a big part of the peace experience. And there's a kind of a catch-22, or I should say a loaded perspective that I always kind of resented. Acceptance. There's this implication that acceptance of things will make you peaceful, or that you're okay with it. I can accept something that's happening to me, but I'm not going to like it. I don't have to like it. Somebody dinged my car in a parking lot. Well, yeah, I can accept that's my reality, but I'm not going to be happy about it. And it took me quite a while to go against what I was being taught, or what the world was kind of projecting on me, that if I was truly enlightened and evolved, that I would find acceptance, that I'd have peace. When I accept something as a reality, well, that motivates me to do something about it. That's not peaceful. It means I got to get busy. Acceptance has this, again, this stigma that it's going to cause you to be okay with it, like happy with it. And that's not what this stage of acceptance and process of loss is. It is an understanding. I'll tell you one of the most prime examples of that, as I've worked for several families in the past that had children that passed away and died. There is nothing more painful, nothing more irreconcilable than that event. It's not possible. You are changed and in many ways done forever. You can't get past that. And again, what was painful is that they're coming to me as I went to doctors and all these people and support groups. And again, I seem to be the first person saying to them, like, the way you're grieving is completely fine. You don't have, no, you will never accept this. Why should you be okay with it? That gave them some peace. Somebody validating and saying, you know, you don't have to accept this and be okay with it. It's not a good thing. Again, we see the paradox, as we cannot have two thoughts or two emotions at the exact same time. We can bounce back and forth very quickly. And we can close the gap of time between polarizing thoughts and emotions. And even though we can't have them at the same time, we can get them very close together. It becomes a stream of consciousness. My acceptance of things, again, as I have said from the beginning of this, is the paradox, is that I can't accept shit, can I? And that gives me some sense of control to anticipate properly. Please do both. Please organize your external environment and space with the right expectation that's not going to cause you to be at peace. That's going to help. It's going to assist. Yes, take walks, get in nature. For me, I need nature. I also love being in the city, occasionally. Used to love it a lot. Find the one that works for the environments that work for you and spend time in them. Visit them regularly. Give yourself, and again, some people do not feel at peace in the woods and taking a walk. They're too alone with their thoughts and they're neurotic. And so I say to them, you know what? Go walk down the boulevards in the city. There's some peace in that because it's so chaotic. Suddenly you're kind of like, you know what? Like, this is a mess. Like, I feel pretty good. In a contrast, find the one that works for you. The external measures, practices, and methods to create and associate with things that resonate with your spirit and soul. And then the internal work. Yes, meditation, as we talked about, and as I often give talks on how to do that properly, how not to do it. And to empty the mind is the wrong way to go. To fill it with divine things and spiritual things is a much better way to go. It's easier and gives you a better result. And again, just your lifestyle. I found the system that works for me. My routines, my rituals, my coffee ritual, my afternoon workout ritual, my evening walks, my morning walks. And don't get me wrong, my evening walks, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot today. And I want to do it because I want to stay fit and healthy. Hi, Claire. And so these sacred systems, and again, doing the inner work, the meditation with the right expectations, creating the right environment. And for me, again, it's my morning rituals of coffee that I've worked hard to be able to establish and be able to have those things. I will get up earlier to do them. And my afternoon workouts, my afternoon cardio of tennis. It's stressful to go do these things. Got to make time for it. I got to set up and all those, but the result is that they give me more than they take. And of course, my diet as a vegetarian, for me, that works. Of course, I'm going to advocate vegetarianism because it's much more karmically clean. You're not taking on karmas. But also because it's simple. What we call the sattvic diet in spirituality. The sattvic diet being very basic and simple, not based around pleasure, but based around the needs. And I'm not saying to remove all pleasure from it. I'm going to think that I enjoy, of course, but I'm not going to make it centered around pleasure. Not every day, not all the time. Less is more is the mentality when it comes to our lifestyle. The benefit of routines and rituals and organization is that I have more room in my life to deal with the unpredictables. Because the trash is done and it's taken out, and I know what day it goes to the curb, and because the dishes are done and things are put away and things are somewhat organized in my living space, well, then I have the latitude when something comes and that's unexpected, then I can adjust to that. Instead of like, oh my God, I can't deal with you, I gotta do this. The things that are procrastinating aren't done. I can't deal with you. And if I don't have anything I have to adjust to spontaneously, well, then that's my time. That's what I can use for what I want to use it on. So basically, we're trying to create a surplus of inner and outer space and peace, so that when we have a surplus of it, we can access it when and how we need to. Again, any questions as we wrap up here? Any comments? Anybody want to share anything? I know you do. I know you do.
Which are you pointing to?
I'm pointing to Claire. And that's why and that's why Chloe has her muted.
Claire wants oatmeal.
Well,
No, I don't.
you don't? Well, can I have your oatmeal?
Oh,
What kind of oatmeal do you have?
You want cereal with oat milk?
yeah.
Cereal and oat milk.
Oh, yeah, that's good too. Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, I might have some oatmeal. Yeah, I don't know. That's good. So, and there you go. Right, our own brand of
You
peace.
might have
Yeah.
oatmeal, but might have.
All right, mute again. Children should be seen, not heard. Again, finding our own brand.
Claire said no
You said no?
to you. She knows that's a joke, right?
It is a joke. I'm always joking. Whenever I will tell people, whenever I say something you don't like, I'm joking. And that I say most likely I'm joking. If I say something you don't really, that's uncomfortable for you, that you don't really like, typically I'm joking. So again, any questions or comments? I encourage you all to be mindful of this. And sometimes even that's the best we can do. That's all we can do is try to be mindful of the fact that we can't always have it, and we're willing to work towards it. Progress, not perfection, as they say in the 12 steps. Progress, not perfection.
I had a question.
Yeah, hold on. Just one thought. Let me get right to that.
Okay.
So I already know that I'm not going to die with peace and contentment. I'm too ambitious. But can I die knowing that I was going towards it rather than just being stagnant? So James, please ask your question.
First, thank you for your message. I really appreciate it. I feel like it's the perfect timing for kind of where I'm at right now in life and trying to find that peace for myself. And especially, like you said, the environment. Right now at work, it was so chaotic. And as I tried to work towards creating order at work, I realized um, things started working out more in my favor, and my just things just started moving in the right direction for me at work. But the thing you were saying about the creating the order for myself in my environment and how that kind of helps with the inner piece I'm creating for myself, it resonated with me. So I really appreciate it. I feel like that's exactly where I'm at right now in my life. The other question I had for you was I tried to order some of your books on the website and it's not allowing me to. It's saying that I can't purchase it right now.
Can you and I talk privately on this? I'll be able to help you out with that.
Yes, yes.
Let me type in my number for you. Do you mind, you want to text with me?
Yes, that's fine.
All right, hold on, let me give you that. Here's my direct number. And I'm also going to give you my direct email, but I think you have. How did you find out about this invitation? Did I email you an invitation for this?
No, no, I found you on Facebook.
Okay, so the post I made the other day.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
And I
I'm
just clicked the
going to
link.
give you also my email. Now, James, I want to make sure I'm spelling that right.
Are you putting it in a chat?
Yeah, I'm putting it in the chat. You'll see in a second.
Okay.
So what I do, James, also, I'll make sure I got this. I left a word out. I can't multitask. I'm not that advanced. All right, so here's my direct phone and my email. And so you can communicate with me directly and I'll make sure to get you those things. Now, also what I do, James, is I am what we refer to me as a spiritual trainer and mentor. So like you go to the gym, you get a trainer that helps you become fit and teaches you what to exercise and how to achieve your particular goals. That's how I work with spirituality and consciousness is I am a private practice counselor. And so I help people remedy those issues and disorder functions and dysfunctions. And then I also am a spiritual mentor and trainer. So many people use both, many people just want one or the other. So I'm versatile. So if you're interested, we can also talk about possibly having some private sessions and classes for you that again, as I talk about how I'm giving you the generals and then we want to customize our methods that are particular to us. Again, I'm not saying do as I do all the time. I'm saying, I'm saying do as I say in a conceptual theme that I'm teaching you how to design your own strategies rather than adapt to somebody else's. Again, the Buddha did not say, hey, walk out of the palace and go live in the forest and then go sit beneath the Bodhi tree for 49 days. No, he said, give you a different set of instructions. He was basically saying, like, you're not me, so you can't do that. So again, what we need is a customized way of pulling these kind of things off. Did you get my text there with the number and email?
Yep, I got both. And part of your message that resonates the most with me is that that aspect of how you're communicating, where it's not like you're telling me what to do, which, you know, my dad was a pastor and I was raised in a church. And that was the hardest part of my spiritual journey is finding my own voice, which was my own internal truth. Because I feel like everybody has their own truth. And it's like you have to find yours because you can't tell someone what their truth is because it's coming from within them. So
As a
that's
matter of
part of
fact, as a matter of fact, James, we are naturally built to reject things that we're told to do. Okay, that's human condition. And so yes, that's an innate kind of quality. And so we're all struggling to find, as you said, our voice. And so honestly, that's all I do is what I do with my teaching and training in my class. Everything I do is simply empowering people to find their own way. So I don't tell you what to be or how to be it. I tell you how to discover that for yourself and then how to attain it. So here's your goal, and I'm here to help you draw a roadmap to it, which may be very different from my roadmap. We all have varying strengths and weaknesses. And so we have to work with what we have, not what we wish we had. And so exactly that is about learning how to design and engineer our own methods and practices. And again, it's customized. As much as I enjoy these group talks, I always make it very clear that I'm giving you the generals, I'm giving you all the fundamentals, and in order to be able to perfect that, it takes some individual time. So that is available to you, of course, you know. So I have a lot of private students and private clients that that's available to use too. If you text with me and we email, we'll figure that out. And again, as far as the books are concerned, that's a concern. I don't know what's going on there, why you're not able to get it. Were you trying to download the ebooks?
No, I saw that I was watching your videos, and then there was like the Kabbalah workbook.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to purchase that to download it, because it's like when you're as you're going through it on your classes online, the one that you had on YouTube, you kind of need it. So I was trying to purchase it so I could follow. I paused the video and I was trying to purchase it, but it wasn't allowing me to. It's giving me this message. I'm texting you right now, so you'll be able to see it.
So were you going to within the portal.com?
Yeah, you go to the portal.com, and then when you're there, it gives you a message that says,
Well, I'll tell you what, so that we can have this privately, I'll tell you this. One way or the other, I mean, I can email you that the ebook version of that workbook in an instant. Okay, so we can do it directly. Okay.
okay, I'll reach out to you. I'm texting you right now, so you have my
Okay,
number.
great. And listen, I've got a student session, private session following this. So it's going to be a little bit of a while, but maybe in an hour or two, I'll be able to kind of work that all out with you. Okay.
Okay, I'll text you. You have my number, and then when
Yeah,
you
you're
have some
encouraged.
time, give me a call.
You're encouraged to text me direct. So
Okay.
yeah, I'd be happy to do that. And by the way, the Kabbalah book is being reformatted because I just realized one on Amazon was missing something, so I'm fixing that. So
Okay, no problem.
So let me see what else. I had one more thing to kind of close with here. Oh, one more final thing to close with, real quick. This one's important. They're all important. As you know, I do the triangle readings, which cover 5 different modalities throughout your entire life, and they're very thorough and very complete. And the main one is people are interested in is the life purpose. One of the biggest causes of our unrest within is we have this nagging sense that we have a purpose, we don't know what it is, and we want to fulfill it. We need to understand what our life purpose is, and then we need to begin to work on it. And again, whether we fulfill it or not is less important, less significant. We will continue to feel a lack of peace and unrest within our spirit and our minds if we don't even know what it is. And again, as the Buddha had said, the best and worst day of someone's life, the best day and worst day is when they find out that enlightenment is a real thing that they can attain. The best day because now they know why they're here. The worst day because now they know they'll never be happy without it. Similar with your life purpose. The best and worst day. The best day because now you know finally what it is that you're meant to do. And yet the worst day because now you know that you'll never be at peace until you at least begin to work on it. Again, the difference is that I will never truly fulfill my life purpose because we'll always continue to shift and evolve and grow. Always have new boundaries to attain, new plateaus, new agendas. The peace comes from being able to know what my life purpose is. Mine is to serve. And again, the weird dichotomy that I don't even like people. So why am I serving? I don't know. It's what I do. It's what I'm good at. And so again, the reason I sleep easy at night and comfortably, and the way I, in spite of all the, as you guys know, with my book, the chaos and trauma and supernatural, extraordinary events of my life, which again, that book just covers some of them, is because I'm living my purpose. In my final moments of death, I will know at any time that I was living my purpose, that I was doing my very best to fulfill what it is that I am to myself and the world around me. That is probably the most profound sense of peace we can ever have. And without that, unfortunately, as stupid humans, we're pretty well cursed. We can't have any of that. Knowing what your purpose is, your particular brand of purpose, and working towards it. So keep that in mind and we'll continue another time. So I always want the feedback. If we want to do a part 2 on peace, we can go into the details of how to deal with the particulars of our reality, the relationships that we have, human behavioral aspects, make it more a little bit worldly rather than ethereal, maybe than the cosmic. So either let me know about that. If somebody has an idea now, you can let me know now. Anybody have an idea?
I think that sounds good. I would appreciate that.
You would? Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. Well, that one vote's good enough for me.
I had a
That
question.
that means that I don't have to have I don't have to have the unrest. I'm trying to figure out what the next topic is going to be. So I like that too. Chloe and Claire, are you making us all breakfast or what?
Yeah, we're eating cereal and berries.
No, what you know not to bring unless you bring food for the whole class, and you can't do that.
You want some plastic berries?
No, I'm kind of a health cereal guy. So, all right, let's wrap it up. James, I look forward to hearing from you and dialogue with you very soon through email and text and maybe some other thing. We can Zoom again and we can get together and we'll figure out what you want, what you need, and I'll do what I can to provide it to you. Okay.
Thank you so much. I had a quick question before we wrap up. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
It's about what you're saying about the purpose. I thought I figured out my life's purpose years ago. And what I kept finding myself is the more I tried to fulfill that, it didn't work out, or something would happen. I would have this challenge and my life would be shifted somewhere else. And what I finally found myself at right now in my life, and it's just because of different things that I'm learning, to let go, not really to let go. So whatever I think my purpose is, let go and really focus more on leaning on the divine to tell me what my purpose is versus me thinking I figured it out.
Correct.
And the reason why I'm saying that is that message came to me when I started realizing when things worked out in my life. I mean, when I won or financially or with love or whatever, I never had anything to do with it. It was always something greater than me that worked on my behalf that led me there.
That's right.
And
It's the same kind of flow, right?
yes.
And
Yeah.
so to address that more specifically is, listen, I do a lot of these life purpose readings. I do a lot of these life purpose work, a lot of it, a lot. Okay. And indeed, we can easily misinterpret our life purpose and destiny and then pursue the wrong things in the wrong way. And that's where I kind of come in. Is I'm thrilled and honored to be able to provide this service that, as anyone here can, I'm sure, testify happily in support of in advocating what I offer on this, is that it makes it very clear and it resonates, because again, I'm not giving you what I think I need you to do or what your purpose is. It's what it is. So I'm not a psychic. I'm like a spiritual meteorologist. Here's all the data. And so the data is there astrologically, numerologically, all the modalities we use for mysticism can reveal in detail what our purpose is and how to attain it. And again, I'm not satisfied with giving people just what their life purpose is. To me, if I can't tell them how to attain it, then what's the point? So it's both are required. And indeed, I see a lot of people that are having that exact experience, that they're following the wrong path. And indeed, you're seeing a lot of encouragement again with the flow, the wind behind your back instead of in your face. Then when you start to let go and allow to flow with it, it's not that you're just letting it happen. You're surrendering to it. And the first stage of that is to understand what the purpose is and then how to surrender to it. The cool thing is when we know what the purpose is, it becomes kind of easy to surrender to it. But until we know what it is, it's kind of hard. And again, sometimes that's where I come in. People are brought to me and I'm brought to them to find out exactly what that is. They're struggling with just that. And that's the main point of what I offer, is try to help people lead them to the life purpose. I don't expect my life to ever be, or any life to be within the world, truly peaceful. That's not what human existence is. It is, again, I am overwhelmed with gratitude, with the grace that I experience from knowing what mine is. I need to know when I'm helping a client through trouble and crisis, that whether they get better or not, did I do all that I can? Did I do all that can be done? Not that I can, but all that can be done to help them achieve that. If they're stuck and mired in their lack of peacefulness and dysfunctions, if they sought me out and if I did provide all I could, well, then I'm at peace with it. I'm more at peace probably if they succeeded too, but I need to know that I fulfilled my purpose. We all got to do our own thing, right? And so we'll talk. Well, there's always going to be regularly, we will revisit the life purpose aspect in the talks on that. That's kind of a common topic as well. So let's talk a little more about that in the future. So we'll talk a little more about, how about we do that? How about we talk about part 2 with peace and Om Shanti would be about our specifics, dealing with dysfunction disorder within ourselves and within the world around us, and also our life purpose and how that factors in.
I like that. No, I like that. Thank you.
Everybody's giving me thumbs up. I like that too. All
I
right.
like that too.
I
Yes,
second
yes,
that.
perfect.
All right. So now listen, you guys know me well. Now it seems you would think that the enthusiasm and passion that I have for this, it's like such a solid thing that I would not forget that. I guarantee you that, right? Since I go into session throughout the day, I'm going to remember this. I'm not going to remember this at all. So if somebody could email me and or text me, all of you have my number. Email or text me and remind me what we just said the topic's going to be. Otherwise, I'm going to reach out to one or all of you and say, hey, do you remember what we chose last next week? I don't remember. Then I'll be and then I won't be at peace.
Sure.
Oh, boy.
In the meantime, go be at peace with your lack of peace. Okay, be at peace with your lack of peace. All right. All right, and I'll be seeing one of you in a few minutes. Okay. Radhe Radhe. Glory to the essence of divine love.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye,
Peace.
everyone.